So happy you guys are here with us tonight.
And
we had a happy Thanksgiving.
Happy Thanksgiving. I hope you had lots of good things to eat. We sure did. We had a great Thanksgiving.
Spent some time with your family.
Yeah. We had time with our family and a sister that we don't see very often. Hi, guys. So we're thrilled to be back and to be doing some more education.
Yeah.
And we love this topic. We love all the topics, but this one we're going to be talking about is
it's pretty cool. Yeah. Well, so with this it's not something that people normally talk about because as far as childbirth education, because it's kind of like a not an advanced step, but a little bit in that it's just another tool in your tool belt for your labor and delivery.
And I'm really glad Michelle's here. Michelle Stan, we're going to be talking about you. So because there are a few things that laboring women do instinctively, and anchors and rituals are actually one of
routines.
Yeah, it was something that we do.
So what often happens in labor, if you've had a baby, like tell us what worked for you.
Yes.
I'm gonna expound upon this. But if you haven't had a baby, what often happens is women, especially when they're going unmedicated, every time that they experience a contraction, sometimes it evolves throughout the labor, but a lot of times you kind of can go in with knowing what relaxes you. But every time you experience a contraction, sometimes you want the same thing to happen over and over if it worked really well for you. So I mean, we've talked a lot about counter pressure, but sometimes it's things that are relaxing to you. So like if you love having your hair played with, you might really love having your hair played with when you're in labor. Or
don't stop.
Right? Like that feels so nice. And sometimes it evolves. Like I can I go into this story?
Well, no, let's wait. Let's set this stage. I loved your question. So if you have had a baby, tell us of an anchor that you used. Now, an anchor is linking a specific physical and verbal cue with a specific state. So that's linking hair, somebody playing with your hair to relaxing, or somebody talking to you to focus your mind. So it's a specific physical or verbal cue that creates a specific state.
Like it brings an awareness like back to your like, oh yeah, that's what I'm doing.
So that's what an anchor is. So you might not have realized you had an anchor, or you might not have prepared, but actually an anchor, we'll talk more about some rituals or things that you can do instinctively, but an anchor is typically something that you practice or you put an intention to before you have your baby. So tell us anything that you did in your labors. And if you've never heard of this or have no idea what we're talking about, we have several examples.
We'll give you some examples, and then it'll be like, oh, that's what I was doing. Or it'll give you some ideas on what you might want to kind of practice before you have your baby.
Yes.
So for example, a really great overall example of an anchor is Pavlov's dogs. Do you guys remember that
science class in 10th grade or 8th grade?
Having my husband rub my lower back during a contraction. Yep, the rub.
That would be an anchor, a very good anchor. We'll talk more about that rub.
So Pavlov's dogs, just a quick synopsis, is this scientist did this experiment where he, every time he rang a bell, then he had some dogs, and then he'd feed them a treat. And every time he rang a bell, he'd feed them a treat. And they got conditioned. They practiced that, right? They practiced it. So they were conditioned that every time they heard a bell, they started to salivate. So
they knew a treat was coming.
So when he started to ring a bell and there was no treat, they still instinctively salivated. So when we practice something, so for example, I'll tell my mamas, we're communicating with our eyes. One of the mamas I attended, this one evolved throughout her labor, but she came to really need, when she was in a contraction, to have eye contact with someone. She just needed eye contact, and she needed to ooh, and whoever was having eye contact with her, she wanted them to ooh as well. So this really definitely evolved, but it was so fascinating, because even like from her just in the bathroom and in the bathtub, like she'd be relaxing and then she'd have a contraction and she'd be like, ooh, and like needed somebody to have eye contact with her, and then all throughout, even her pushing and everything like that. So
I would actually call that more of a ritual.
That's probably a ritual.
That one's more of a ritual.
That one evolved.
Okay, and those are the instinctive ones. So more of an anchor that you can specifically right now be practicing for is, we know that and I don't know, maybe we should teach this in another life, the fear, tension, pain cycle. So when you are afraid of pain or afraid of anything, you will tense and your muscles will tighten.
Well, because it kind of goes back to the Pavlov's dog. When you condition yourself, right? Like when you, so and our body follows our mind. Like that, that's why the Pavlov's dog worked, is because when we have a thought or an emotion,
it creates a chemical, your body releases
physical response.
Well, it releases certain chemicals, and then you have a physical response for sure. So
when you have fear, you actually go into the fight, flight, or freeze mode, and
you're releasing adrenaline, cortisol, all the things. And so, sorry,
no, it's
just adding.
Yeah, so because of that, you tense up against it, and that actually creates more pain. So when you can create anchors for relaxation specifically, then that will actually help deepen that relaxation in your labors, and it will end up being a more successful
and the more labor you can relax, the less the tension. And luckily, the thing about that is it can focus your mind. The less tension you have, the more relaxed you can be, the more just easy, not easy, but just intentional you can be with your birth. So a couple anchors they can be physical anchors, they can be grounding objects, and they can be breath. Actually, those are your three kind of typical anchors. So as far as physical anchors, April just did one. So it's
the touching, playing the hair, or like you can practice with when you're doing relaxation. One thing I teach a lot is the shoulder press. So if you gently press on a shoulder
as you're relaxing,
relax,
just feeling that pressure,
just the pressure. So you could have somebody outside of you, your spouse, your doula, somebody else out there that is like, okay, just relax all the places I'm touching, and then the gentle shoulder press can be a great reminder. It's like, oh yeah, I'm relaxing. That's where I'm supposed to be.
And it brings your focus back to what your intention is to relax. Rubbing, tickling. I enjoyed, my physical anchor was tickling. So when I had people at my birth, I just wanted them to tickle anywhere. I didn't care. My back, my arm, my leg, it doesn't matter. But when I went into that contraction, I needed
the physical touch.
That physical touch, because
there was a lot of this.
Because it reminded me, relax, like that feels good, that relax. But some people don't like physical touch. And so that's a good thing to be aware of before you go into labor, because then you can tell your birth people, like, hey, I don't like you touching me. Don't touch me, because it actually takes me out of my zone. So,
but you can find things that do work.
Yes.
So when you do practice, so for example, and we actually discussed this earlier, and it worked for both of us. So both of us really practiced a lot with our husbands, and made sure that we were like practicing scripts, practicing relaxation techniques. And like my sweet husband, he did not actually like to read the scripts. He liked to make up his own. So he like kind of got the basis of like a progressive relaxation. And then he actually asked me, like, what do you really like to hear when you're listening to a relaxation? I told him, like, oh, I really love when it talks about already having the baby and having the baby in my arms and like looking at the baby and the baby's features and how they feel and how they smell and touch and all of that. So he would, on whenever we would practice, he would actually like take me to the forest or to the beach or to the Alps,
the most
or
relaxing places ever.
He just like, I never knew where we were going, so which was kind of fun. And then the crazy thing is when I was in labor, so I think that bonded us more when we practiced. And then when I was in labor, I do not know what he was saying to me. I could not have told you if he was telling me like sports games, or I have no idea. I have no idea what the words he was saying, but he was using the same type of tone and voice into my ear. And because of the sound of his voice, it actually relaxed me. It anchored me, and it was like, oh, okay, this is what I
remember that. I remember practicing with that. And so it just automatically took you to that relaxed place, which is what an anchor is.
Yeah.
Another form of anchor can be a grounding object. So that can be, I'm holding one right now. So this is where Michelle comes in. One of my doula clients, Michelle, who's on here right now. Hi, love you. When I was getting ready to go to her birth about 5 o'clock in the morning, I kept thinking about this rose quartz stone. It's just a flat stone. It fits very nicely in your palm. And I grabbed it out of my daughter's room and took it to her because it always feels, sometimes moms just want to hold something. Like, this is reminding me to stop. This is reminding me and to relax, but also to breathe. And then it's something nice to rub. Like, again, it's the fear, tension, pain cycle, where if you can get out of that tension and just like and this is probably more bridging into ritual too, just having something to rub and hold, it really, really can be grounding. And then not only that, but crystals, you don't have to believe in crystals or anything, but they do hold a vibrational energy that interacts with our own. And the theory of entrainment is that we have an electromagnetic vibration that we vibrate all the time. And when you're in contact with other things that emit vibration, you will entrain, and it will help raise your vibration to the vibration of this stone. And since we're talking, well, should we talk about it a little bit later? We'll talk about some of the properties of rose quartz for birth specifically, but this is just another grounding object that we like. Is just a physical object. It can also be a blanket. It could be beads.
I've known somebody. They weren't one of my clients, but I did know somebody who was really nervous about leaving their baby, their
older baby,
their 2-year-old home, because they were leaving and going to the hospital to have their baby, and they were just gonna miss them. So they actually ended up taking a blanket of his, and like she rubbed and held the blanket the whole time she was in labor, and that actually brought a lot of comfort and relaxation. And
I love that.
And like remembrance of where she was and what she was doing and why. So like you can often think of something that might actually work, like a physical object.
A physical object, whether it's a stone or some other special thing that you practice with when you relax and when you are thinking about your birth and all of that, just having that in your hand.
And you might often even think of what type of learner you are, or what like resonates with you. Because if you are a kinesthetic person and you like to, we have a sister that is very tactile. So this would be something that actually would work really well for her. Like that if she could hold and move her hands, it would, instead of just relaxing against it, if that makes sense, if it was something to hold like that.
Yeah. And something I just want to point out is we believe that relaxation and moving through contractions looks very different for every person. So when one person might relax like this. Like so
look
nice.
like asleep.
Another
nice.
might be like, oh,
a little
or other like, ooh, or like lots of movement, swaying,
or laughing, or like
dancing,
a good time.
whatever.
Yeah, like there's like birth looks different for everybody. And
so when we say relaxing, we want you to know that looks different. That looks different because now we're bridging into ritual, and rituals are the instinctive things that you find early on, and maybe they change throughout your as your contractions change, that work for you to bring you back into the state of focus. Focused awareness is maybe a good word to say, but it's the repeated, and it's personally meaningful, and it's rhythmic. So for me, every time I went into a contraction, I had to have somebody tickling my arm and then also talking to me. And the words, I remember the words I liked to hear was, I actually liked like a progressive relaxation. So I was moaning, I was yelling, I was swaying, but within that, I needed to hear, relax your eyebrows, relax your nose, relax your cheeks,
your shoulders.
Yeah, shoulders, loosen up, limp, relax, be calm. Where's your baby? Like, just if I could just stay present, then within my body, because I wanted to leave my body and get out of control, and that would make me out of control. So if I could just stay and be aware that I had a body, that I was within my body, my baby was in my body, this is what I came for, this is what I'm doing, then it was fine. Then I was fine. So, and again, it shifted and changed, but that was a ritual that I liked. Then we talked about the eye contact.
Yeah, eye contact.
Any other things that you remember? Oh, do we have some?
Oh, this information as well. You had an unplanned natural birth. Okay, can I tell you, that's impressive.
That is.
Because when it's way harder when you have an unmedicated birth without preparing for it. Because I would say that like 80% of having an unmedicated birth is just getting your mind set.
Getting your mindset there. I saw Michelle wrote up here, some of her anchors and rituals were holding the rose quartz gem, her husband reading scripts to her to remind her where she was, and then counter pressure. Yeah. So I love that. Those are all rituals. Those are all grounding, anchoring points for your. Oh,
my bad. Oops, sorry, lost you. That was me.
We kicked it.
I kicked it.
So just so you know, it's hard to plan a ritual beforehand.
It evolves.
That's where the anchor comes in, that you can hold and remember the anchor. But then as you are, just allow your body. That would be our best advice, is allow your body to figure it out. Try different things. If something isn't working, then keep trying. But it will, and you don't even have to try. It's just gonna come.
And I will just say, as far as communication goes when you're in labor, and Melanie, you mentioned you're 39 plus weeks, so you're any day, sister. So you'll have to tell us how it goes for you. But when you're in labor, communication is difficult. It is very difficult because
right. It is.
You are so involved in what's going on in your body. So you're aware of what's happening outside, but it's like, it just takes way too much effort for you to even make any sort of like connection or communication. So, so I would say like, as best as you can, tell your spouse or whoever's on your birth team that's going to be there at your birth, just kind of give them the permission to do it. If it looks like that you might want a washcloth, if it looks like you like, just try pressing and doing counter pressure and tickling and playing with hair. Try all of the things, because the best thing that you will be able to, or the easiest way that you'll be able to communicate, is saying no.
Yeah.
Like it's usually like, no, that doesn't work. No. So, and a lot of times if they're like, do you want me to tickle your hair? You're like, hard. Like in your head, you're just thinking, I don't know, do I want them to like, and then it's taking a little bit of focus away from you. So just allow or communicate with them beforehand. Say, just try things. I'll tell you if it doesn't work or not. And don't get offended if it's just like pretty abrupt of like, nope,
no, stop. Well, even Michelle, if you don't mind me sharing, a typical counter pressure is a double hip squeeze. So early on in her contractions, I was doing the counter pressure with the double hip squeeze, and it did not feel good. And she would say, no, don't do that. And then as her labor progressed, it started feeling good. We tried it again and it felt good. So things that don't feel so good early on might feel good later. So just be
as
open.
Your baby moves down.
But it also helps that it was like, I'm not offended when she's like, no, stop, you know, yeah. And I'm going to try it again because I understand that about birth. So just so you know, it's going to ebb and flow, and it's going to be exactly what you need because your body knows how to birth the baby. And you will create those rituals as long as well. And so remind your birth team or your birth partner that rituals and rhythms are super good for laboring women because it means you're coping. So even if it's loud, even if it's
like a cow.
Yeah, you know what I mean? Like
I am full-blown cow.
So like, well, it's hard not to. It's like that's the instinct. That's the super instinct. So so just remind your birth team that noises, sways, even like this, like if you have to do this, sometimes it feels good. And I typically like to see your face relax, but there are some things like you might squeeze your hands. I don't know, but if it's
power stance, I had a power stance mom once. Yeah. I've had, in fact, it is interesting because you'll kind of hop too, as far as like, especially if labor has been a few hours into it and everybody's kind of relaxing between, and then as soon as mom, like her breathing might change, and then everybody just like, okay, now we're tickling, and now so that's kind of how the ritual and the routine of it happens and progresses. And those of you that have had babies, you'll have to tell us, like, did it feel that way? Like, were you relaxed, like away from it? And then once you were in a contraction, everybody like, okay, now back. We're on.
And even yourself, you might be just laying there and then you feel that coming and you start moaning and swaying or whatever your ritual is. But that means you're coping really, really well. So in your mind, you might think, oh my gosh, I can't do this. Or I'm so loud. I'm trying to think of some of the things I thought. But
I love this.
It's not true. You're
Brittany
doing good.
Says, I squeeze my hands and relax the rest of my body while saying, oh freak. Oh, I love it. And you might
it works.
Yes, I love that because it might be a phrase. It might be like the image of like, for me it was like a corkscrew. I like
too.
For me it was like, okay, the contraction is going up and then it's coming down. Like it was.
That's a good one.
So like that's how I kind of always, like, I was spiraling up and I was spiraling down. So
I love that.
Which is nice because there's only like that peak of real intenseness.
Yes. Yeah. So those husbands with rituals, what we're seeing in the comments, the husbands are really important.
Mm-hmm.
They're part of it. And again, if you can just prepare them with like, hey, I'm going to ask you to do some things and hold me and whatever, he'll be prepared and he'll be super on it and it'll be great. Yeah. And even nurses, like if you need to employ a nurse in there, ask them to help you.
Yeah.
So, I love it. So we want to share a little bit more about
because this is our giveaway, you guys.
This is our giveaway. So this is a rose quartz crystal. We have a couple of them. So it's really smooth and polished here, but then it's like rough on the sides. So the different textures, and it's flat. So
you
it
just show how Michelle used it.
What do you mean?
Like in her labor?
She just would hold it and just rub it. Like
rub
this.
The edge.
So she would do the edge. She would do the top. I don't know. I saw her do kind of all around. But yeah, like this. So anyway, it was really a gentle reminder. But so if you're aware of crystals in general, they each have a vibrational signature that match to certain outcomes. And rose quartz has a lot, especially with birth. and why, and April's just gonna read a couple.
Okay, I'm just a few of the things pertaining to birth. Some of the properties are that it is a stone of unconditional love and infinite peace, which is way cool.
Cool, huh? So that's the vibrational signature that's being emanated. So you, if you're open to it, can also absorb that or take that on. The unconditional love and infinite peace. Oh, who doesn't want that?
It restores trust and harmony. It provides reassurance and calm. And this stone draws off negative energy and replaces it with loving vibes.
Yes.
And then this one I thought was really cool. Holding rose quartz enhances positive affirmations. So here you go. If all of those affirmations that you've been practicing with, right? You've been listening to, you've been writing and repeating every day, it enhances those when you hold it. And the stone then reminding you of your intention. So if you have goals for your birth, a lot of times, especially if this becomes an anchor for you, if you have it and you kind of infuse it with your intention, it will remind you of your intention when you're in labor.
And that's actually, that's the power of the stone, is when you set an intention, when you see it, it reminds you of that intention, and then your mind and your heart are entrained, and you have your goals to set to, and then that's a huge power of crystals in general.
And then this one, which I think is super cool, I'm not sure how it works, but I love it, is raised blood pressure is lowered and a racing pulse normalizes under the stone's calming influence.
Because it's calming.
Which is really cool. So anybody who has like predisposition to preeclampsia, who might have high blood pressure, get yourself around clothes. Like, you know the amber necklaces for teething babies? I feel like it can't hurt.
No. Right. I know. It's, again, just a tool in your tool belt or a tool in your hospital bag that is helpful.
Yeah,
and
actually,
I don't know why.
You totally need these.
I always want to rub it on my face. Have you noticed?
Yes.
I always want to rub stones on my face. I don't know
whoever gets this one has Alina skin all over it.
Okay, I'll give you a new one. I'll
We'll wash it.
But not only is this a giveaway, but we will have a very limited supply of these stones on our website.
Yeah, we will list them this week.
Yes, I think we have 20.
I think we have less than 20.
Dang, we have less than 20. But they will be a super limited supply, but they will be available by the end of this week. And they have a cute little pouch and an explanation that goes with it.
So you can put it right in your hospital bag.
It in your hospital bag.
Melanie, cool. I have a therapist, a therapist gave me a rock for grounding before, and it truly helped. That is awesome.
I love that. And see, it's all the tools.
I will say too, for me, like Alina tends to want to leave her body, but I am one that kind of grounds in. However, when I'm in labor, it's like you do kind of disconnect because your body is working so hard. So you kind of feel a little disconnected from your body, especially after the birth. And I remember actually my baby, as soon as they put her on my chest, this was with my second baby, I was like, whew, there I am. I'm here. I'm back. There she is. There we are. And so I was really surprised at how that made me feel, of the skin to skin for me.
Yes.
So
to the bonding and that back to your body.
And having
that is really cool.
Grounding object, I think probably would have helped in that situation.
Right. And we just, it's one of those things.
Alina essence.
Thank you,
always
Ashley.
Would help.
It always, the essence. You're sweet.
Just rub it on your face.
We're excited.
You might do that when you're in labor.
Yeah, you might.
Have your spouse rub it on you.
And actually, Michelle reminded me, I would place this when she was on all fours. She was having some really good back labor, and I just placed it right on her sacral area of her spine, and it just was another grounding. It just is like it's that pressure. Weight, and it just feels good. So thanks for reminding me, Michelle. And I would rub it on her when I would rub. Sometimes as I was doing counter pressure, stuff like that. So
I love it, Kara. You get me, girl.
Yes. Always that. Yeah. Sometimes
she fell out of her body for at least a few hours after birth. So crazy. I know. So sometimes it's just having tools, tools like the anchor of a blanket or the shoulder press or all of the things. Remember, we're kind of talking about anything that would help you be able to practice beforehand that will deepen that intention of either relaxation or your
Awareness,
goals or awareness or whatever it may be, so that you can have a physical thing or a mental thing, maybe a word, a keyword, or something that somebody says to you. I'm just recapping you guys right now. It's all coming out. So let us know if you have any questions on this topic, or if you have any stories for us or ideas or thoughts, because we love hearing it all. So
yes. And remember, if you are not subscribed to our email list, go to our link in our bios on Facebook and Instagram. There's at the very top, it will say subscribe to our email, because we will send a recap of everything we're talking about today in an email to you on Thursday. And as well as
our giveaway winner.
We announce our giveaway winner on that email. So then you'll know if you get, and I think we want to give away 2 of them. We're going to give away 2 of these.
The other one's right here.
Because we love you guys. And as many tools that you can put in your hospital bag to help you achieve your goals, or just give you some something to rub on your face. It doesn't matter.
Okay, so Alina and I both really love crystals, honestly. And like, we wear them.
I keep mine in my bra.
I tend to wrap mine and put on a necklace.
She makes it pretty. I just stick it down.
But we feel like the reminder of what the properties can have is just so sweet, and we love being able to share that.
Just being intentional, mindful, and it's helping my mental state. I tend to have a little bit of some mental illness. So it really does actually help me
with that.
Yeah, it really helps to ground me and keep me here. So we're thankful that you joined us tonight. Get on our email. Thank you for being here. Thanks for all your comments and suggestions and anything. So there's a couple. Yes. Okay. So yep, it's a cool tool to have.
I know it's one you don't hear about very often, and so it's. Looks weird.
But we like to tell you all the things.
Yes. And so it's kind of, again, that's why we get to do these lives, is we get to talk about things that you don't normally get thrown in with your childbirth classes, or just like things that aren't really talked about a whole lot. So
okay, so look for it coming your way, and we get on our email list. We'll be back next week, 8:30. We love you guys.
Love you.
Bye.
Bye.